Hello everyone, should be a good morning to everyone. And today I'm going to share and talk about Samsung's vision and also passion and also our view about education, especially around smart education. Samsung has been a company on the ground last 70 years, and we have started from one-man shop, and now we have a presence in the global world. And we believe that, and we try more to lead the innovation in the ICT. So we believe we have been successful a little bit, but there is a long journey to go. But we, as I said and briefly commented yesterday, that while we have been successful, we believe that we couldn't be successful without help from a lot of parties and people and circumstance and government. So we just continue to find a way to pay back to the world about what we have been paid so far. And we have been spending hundreds of millions US dollars as part of CSR, corporate social responsibilities. Starting this year, we just decided to make a focused investment and contribution of about 400 million US only on the education globally. So, and we believe this is the best way to pay to the world. So today, we're going to share about what we have in vision and also what we have in mind and plan. So, I need a PowerPoint presentation here. So while someone just work out the presentation, let me cover up that, me as a Korean, I'm grown up from Korea and educated mostly from Korea. And just looking back Korea, how it has been, you can tell, we had a serious Korean War from 1950 and 1953. So at the end of the Korean War, we had almost nothing left over. So smart education for everyone. This is the vision statement which we have around education. So look at this. At the end of Korean War, 1953, which is only 60 years ago, we had almost nothing left over in Korea. And the entire Korean GDP was 1.3 billion. So we started doing farming and a lot of stuffs, but it has taken about 20 years for our GDP to grow by tenfold. So in 1972, we could have our GDP to reach about 10 billion from about 1.3 billion back in 1953. So it has taken a long time to reach 10 billion as a GDP. From 1986, our GDP was about 100 billion. And last year, Korea's GDP was about 1,000 billion US dollars. So it has taken another 5 years to reach 1,000 billion GDP from 100. So we have had another tenfold growth in 5 years. So overall, looking at the history, starting from right after the Korean War, we have grown our GDP by about 1,000 times in 60 years. And also one thing which is also amazing to see, not only me as a Korean, but also as a world, Korea just continued growth. I think Korea has been lucky enough because we had almost nothing. Like Turkey, we don't have gas. And Korea is such a very small peninsula blocked by North Korea and Japan. We had nowhere to go. We had to fly out for anything. And we have no natural resources. And what was left over to Korea was only people, which was the only asset which Korea had. So based on the KDI report, which was done about 2 years ago, what made Korea to get here to reach up to 1,000 GDP country? We had a lot of high rate of savings. The people were really encouraged to make more savings. We used to have about 10% interest rate until I think mid-1990s. So that people just continued depositing their earnings into the savings account. And Korean government has put a lot of emphasis on manufacturing and productivity and also export. So manufacturing and export have been two growth agenda for Korea for the last 56 years. Because without export, we had no market to go. And the only market with which Korea could go was out of Korea. So Korean government has provided a lot of incentives to manufacturing companies and provided a lot of policies, guidelines to encourage the companies to manufacture and export. So those three things have been a major contributor for the Korean growth. But more than these three, the educated people was the number one, which really stood up Korea as such, just like now. Because as I said, we have zero natural resources which Korea has, and people was the only asset. And a lot of parents, even my parents, has put a lot of effort to educate myself, even though they were not very rich enough, but they have been really devoting to the education, and also to build my children to be educated well enough, so that I'm not rich enough, but I hope my children can have a better life. That has been the sort of a heritage we have been carrying from my parents, and that's where we are. So I will give you a number of examples how passionate Koreans are about education. So this is the survey done years ago by a major daily paper to the middle class people about what is the most precious thing as a parents and as people you have in your life. And people says religion is very precious, and leisure, social success, and wealth is very precious thing, and also marriage is very important. I think a marriage is maybe more important than educating people, because having a good wife is a very important subject. But over 60% of the people said educating the children is the most precious thing of the life. So you can say my parents have been having the life for us. We are having the life for our children. The children will be having the life for our grandchildren. So it is suddenly becoming a pretty strong heritage that educating our children is our mission as parents to go. So this survey clearly states that everybody in Korea, over 60% of the middle class people, thinks that educating my children is the most precious thing as a parent and also as a person. Also, we have another interesting figure that Korea, just assuming that Korea has about 1,000 billion US GDP, and also Korean government budget last year was about 288 billion. And out of 288 billion, about 14% of the entire budget was put into the public education, which is about 4.5% of the entire GDP, so which is about 45 billion US. But this is what government has been spending out of the tax. But at the same time, the entire parents have been spending about 30 billion US as part of the private educations by use of private academies to go after the public school. So in Korea, a lot of even grammar school students and middle school, high school students go to the school, come back home, wash, eat something, and they go to the private school, and they normally study until 9, 10, 11 o'clock. That's a bizarre life for the students, so they actually have a little bit of a relaxed time in a college, but it's not the case recently. So people and parents who can deserve teaching our children with more and better education, they never spare any money in spending to the education. So overall, 7.5% of our Korean GDP money is put into education, which is a significant investment as a country, which is total of 75 billion US dollars going to educating our children. So Obama last year in one of the events in the State of the Union address, he said in Korea the students are put as nation builders. So teachers teach our students. So these are the most important people who we need to respect. And Obama really emphasized that the teachers in the States should be respected as such, but which is not the case in the States. So the level of Korea and our Korean passion about education has been repeatedly mentioned by Barack Obama in a number of events that we should learn from Korea about passion, in Korea about education. So as a result, just looking at this result, this is done in 2009, which is program for international students assessment done by one of the organizations, which happens every 3 years. So last time was 2009. And the PISA results says that Korea, out of 65 countries which was part of the assessment, Korea was ranked 1 as part of the students in terms of reading, math, and science. Well, science was ranked 3, but overall Korea was ranked 1. And we have been up and down a little bit, but we have been pretty on the top level of an education level. And Korea, you know, even I have a Korean language as a mother language. We learn English, however, we don't use English as part of the communication in Korea. So it is a very difficult environment for us to be able to stand up in the global market, especially as a student to attend this test. But we have been performing as the number 1 out of 65 countries. On the left-hand side, I'm showing some of the passion and heat about education. On the left-hand side, you can see a picture which is about a college explaining the entrance guideline to the parents and students who are applying to the college. So every college opens up such a session explaining, we're going to put some emphasis, we're going to put a weight on these, and so that they just follow, and they also make a decision which school to apply. And on the left-hand side, you can see a lot of students, but at the same time, you can see number of balding head, which is not a student, which is a parent and father attending on behalf of the student or attending with the children to just learn about, to make a decision which school to apply. So parents' passion about education continues until the children get into a college. But on the right-hand side, you can see this is a picture coming from a college library. And you can see a lot of students, the library is almost booked up and fully filled up every single day, because getting into a pretty good company is one of their mission once they get into a college. So every students work very hard and study very hard to get into a pretty good company like Samsung Electronics. I think I'm quite proud of the fact that Samsung is regarded as the number 1 company which students want to join last 6-7 years online. So we happen to benefit from these people and good students and well-educated people that, once we have a reputation, then we have a chance to have better people so that we can accelerate growth and better business. So coming back to Samsung, I'm just showing 5-6 year time horizon of a revenue projection, but Samsung never stopped growth in its 7-year life, except 1 year, which was 1997, when there was an IMF crisis, so that our revenue has dropped just 1 time out of entire life. And as you see, in in 2009, our revenue stopped at 110 billion US from 111 previous year, but that was the time when exchange rate has been appreciated by 40%. So in the Korean won and local currencies, our revenue still grew quite much. So we have been lucky enough that we grew in our entire life, but we believe that, we've been working hard, we are the environment, blah, 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 but everybody, CEO, chairman, all the leadership believes that people is the asset, and we could only grow because we had good people, well-educated people, disciplined people. That's how we could survive, coming out from a very small country, poorest country in the world, and someone who doesn't speak in English as a language. So we have been, as I said in the beginning, we have been putting a lot of emphasis as a company to pay back to the world, and we have been spreading our CSR initiatives, healthcare, a lot of different areas, but we happen to believe that investing on education in Africa and wherever we can, so that, giving a chance for every student a balanced education opportunity is what Samsung can contribute best for the world. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on education and smart education. So starting this year, we have built up a vision that Samsung's job and what the vision we like to go for is smart education for everyone, which is making the education to be smart. It's not just pushing in the knowledge. How we can make the education to be smart. Secondly, how we can make these educational opportunities available to everyone wherever they are, however rich they are and their parents are, so that anyone living in a mountain who is very rich, who can afford to buy technical devices, or who is far from the access to the good academic institutes, how we can allow these students the same educational opportunities. This is possible only via ICT. Without ICT, there's no possible way to make it happen at all. And given Samsung has an innovation as part of our heart, we believe we are the best company to contribute in making this happen. And we have a vision, and now we have a mission to go. The mission is like inspiring the future, designing the future education. So we just continue sharpening up what the education environment may have to look like next 5 years and 10 years. So we just continue designing the vision and the future state of the education. Secondly, innovating the core. There should be lots of technologies engaged. It's not just devices. There are a lot of technologies. There are contents, and there should be an ecosystem. Samsung Electronics is a technology company. We are not teachers. So it's a matter of how we can make the teachers available, how we can make the teachers to be smart teachers. That's part of what we can do. How we can apply the ICT and technologies in making the teachers to be excited in teaching the students by use of the ICT. That's what we have as part of the core to do. So we're coming up with whatever solutions which we can. We plan to partner with whoever wants to partner with to make this happen in the worldwide basis. Finally, living in the community. We don't want to be put as a vendor. We don't want to be put as a company which make money out of education only. But we will make sure that we live in the community of education so that we just continue invest, make something happen whenever technology is not allowed, and then we just live together inside the community. So we have these three missions as part of our vision to go for. And achieving this, we have put down a number of phases to go. And as you see on the left-hand side, smart classroom. Smart classroom is where we are now. Smart classroom is how we can make, because education happens from a classroom. So what are the solutions? What are the technologies? What are the things which are needed by the students and teachers in one class to make the teaching and classroom more efficient, productive, and enjoyable? That's the mission we have, and we're trying to develop whatever we can develop to make this classroom work out. I'm going to show you some very interesting output of our tests and pilots. The second phase is about collaborative learning environment and expanding learning horizons from a classroom to beyond classroom. Because there are a lot of students who can come to the class, but there are people who cannot come to the class because he's sick. There are some things, there are a lot of reasons. So how we can expand the classroom concept into an area where the students who cannot join the classroom physically, how we can make these guys, these students to be attending the class and interact with the teachers. And what are the technologies? What are the solutions? What are the other contents which we need to make this happen? Adaptive learning is about going beyond the classroom, going beyond the school. It's all about making the community. And the collection of classrooms can be a school. The collection of the schools can be a school district. Collection of the school district can be a country. So whatever happens in one class can impact on school, school district, and to the government, so that government officer can have a view and drill down what's happening by the school district, by the school, by the classroom, so that we know what we need to do to improve the qualities and result performance of the class and the students, and even the teachers, because teachers matter. Because without motivated teachers, the teaching, high quality of teaching, we cannot expect at all. So these are the phases. I think we are just in the mixture of phase 1, 2, 3. We have a lot of things. I'm going to talk a little bit more about phase 1, 2, 3 here. So Can someone just push the PC? Okay. Phase 1 is quite simpler than any other phases because it is all about what happens inside the classroom. As you can see here, there should be a number of devices. Devices for the students, devices for the teacher, device to interconnect the teachers and students. So it's going to be a matter of tablets, it can be a matter of PC, can be a slate PC, it can be a smartphone, whatever we can just think about to be available to the students and teachers. And these become the major tool to access the content to the homework and interact with the teachers and students each other. And how are we going to make this happen? There should be a number of accessories because students are very hard to manage, you know. The service rate in the grammar school is very high. There is about 30–40% of potential breakage of a tablet or device when it's left in a school for 1 year. Normally it's 0.5 to 1% service rate, but in the grammar school can go up to 30–40%. How are we going to protect the breakage of the devices which is made by mistake of the very small kid? So there should be a lot of protecting devices. There should be keyboard dock. There should be some standing dock, whatever we can just think about. Even, you know, some school in the States, some school let the students carry out the tablets so that there is a continuous study. And there was a sort of a lawsuit from the parent because the children lost it. And the parent was upset because the parent was asked by the school to buy the same tablet for the student. And the parent said, I didn't give away the tablet, you are responsible for giving away the tablet, so it's not my responsibility, it's your responsibility. And often when they carry the tablet home, then they come back without charging the tablet. So this student cannot attend the class until this tablet is charged up. So there are a lot of situations which we need to imagine when we like to let the student carry the tablet home or not. And it's safer to keep the tablet in the class, then there is less continuity of the training and education. And looking at on the right-hand side, there are solutions which is really connecting the devices, connecting teachers and students and students and students and students and parents outside of the classroom. There should be contents to come. So these are, we believe, are the major components which have to go as part of the class, and there are a lot of functionalities and process to follow because the technology doesn't resolve everything. There should be well-educated teachers. It will be good to have some available content so that teachers are excited to reuse someone's content. That's the time when teachers are very excited. When teachers are asked to make digital document out of the paper document he has been using last 10 years, they are frustrated. So how are we going to make the teachers to be able to exchange their content to each other so that they can benefit each other? It's one of the mechanisms which we are worrying about, but that's part of the vision and also part of the phase 2 action item. So at phase 1, we have been implementing these solutions at a class in a number of schools in Korea and also outside of Korea. One of the schools in an island which was very far from capital. It was an island about of 300–400 people. And abalone is a very expensive seafood in Korea, and they were eating abalone for lunch and dinner. So they just make money out of abalone. So our VP really enjoyed abalone lunch and abalone dinner. But we installed this equipment to these students, and they were extremely excited. And they have never had such a tablet at home. There were a number of students who had PCs home, but they never had such a precious device, himself and herself, and the education and performance has gone up significantly. And also we have implemented similar stuff in one of the private schools in Seoul, and afterward, we have done a study, an assessment about how the students were reacting to new school environment. And I would like to highlight a number of items. The satisfaction level overall has gone up from 63% to 85% out of the students. Now, I would like to highlight only those 2 items. Class convenience. The convenience level of the students, because previously they had to carry the textbook and notebook, and they had to carry a pretty big backpack. to come to the school. Now they may simply carry the tablet, and in one of the class they just leave the tablet home, but they just pull up the content at home from PC and continue doing the homework. So the convenience of the class has gone up significantly by 60%. So satisfaction level from 56 to 91 percentile is about 60% improvement from a convenience. And what about the interest and excitement about the lesson? The classroom was not a fun stuff to go, and you know, there are one side speaking and students to do something else. But with a tablet, there's no way out. They have to continue communicating with the teacher, students communicating with the students with the content only. So the focus on classroom has gone up, but at the same time, the interest in the classroom has gone up significantly from 61% to 90%, which is about 50% improvement. We have done some study about the academic performance improvement, and there was about 2 to 3% improvement. Was about 88 to 90. So it was not extremely outstanding, but based on different type of exam, we haven't really figured out what is the most objective way to measure the academic performance improvement. But certainly, when they are excited about class, when they are paying 100% of the time in attending the class, I'm so sure that the performance of the academic level will certainly go up with these devices. And U.S. government has been spending tons of $billions of money in education. And the education investment has gone up last 20 years like this. The academic performance stayed flat. So what it means is putting in money into education to improve their performance doesn't mean too much. Putting in money on the right way to the right thing is more important. And now we see that these are the environment which students want and they can be excited with. What about phase 2? Phase 2 is extending our classroom and making the collaborative learning wherever you are. So we may have simple tablets, and you know how we can make the tablets only from just reading the textbooks, but also as a writing device. So that we used to just regard tablet as a replacement of a number of textbooks. Now it can be a notebook, it can be a paper document to do the homework. One thing which we have seen in one of the private schools in Korea, in Seoul, was in the 4th grade of grammar school, the number of pages of homework the students could deliver was about 2 pages max. Now, some students deliver 20-page homework, even though the homework was simple, because they can easily navigate the network and internet. They can cut and paste and download. They can put the download and pasted content. They put their opinions. They put downloaded content. So the homework suddenly becomes 20 pages as part of a 4th grade of a grammar school. You can't imagine. But that's the tool which can make something happen like it. And making the devices to be smarter so that students can just use only one device to do anything is what we like to go for. Making the interactive content development. We have a lot of authoring tools. Our competitors have authoring tools. Samsung has authoring tools. And we have seen 4 or 5 very exciting authoring tools in the market. And it's going to continue evolving. And having the right authoring tool available to the teachers is very important, because teachers are the ones who will be generating the content. And number of authoring tools which are very exciting, which can embed, you know, motion pictures and a lot of comments and different stuff. But teachers have difficulties in learning about to make contents. It should be more simpler and easier for the teachers to understand. And we have a lot of work to do in terms of generating this one. Global cloud hosting and virtualization. This is phase 3. So, okay. Can you go back one page? Okay. And also, as I said, end-space learning is not about end screen. It's about making the students in number of different spaces to join the classroom is a technology which we are going for at this moment. But more than ever, education platform simpler and easier to use. Whatever we do, solutions, devices, and textbooks and authoring tools for the teachers, it should be way more simpler than now, easier for the students and also teachers, so that they feel very comfortable about making contents themselves. Phase 3 is making it more holistic and going beyond the class. And I'm going to just simply cover up that cloud is a big thing to pursue at the country level and at the school level. Even at the school level, having a small cloud or server is a good thing, because we need something to consolidate students' performance, class performance, and the school performance, teachers' performance respectively, and a lot of different things which we can just think about. And it should be able to be collected and analyzed. As such, we quickly identify which student is lagging in physics, which student in the school is lagging in English, so that we can send out a little bit of a different modularized education material to these students specific, so that, because just remember your time in school, that once we just miss out somewhere, then we just miss out entire content for one period. So once we understand this student is lagging in some area, we just provide modularized content so that she can follow up, so that he can be at an equal level of education. And modularizing the education material will be a big thing, and there is a lot of work to do. So with this phase, we just believe that Samsung had a unique position in the world, because we have the devices, we have solutions, we have number of devices which may go to the school. Previously, Samsung's devices didn't talk to each other. Now we are making the devices available to communicate each other, so that wherever we go, whatever we go, then they can talk wherever in every country in different environments. So, and also we like to be a sustainable partner in this era, because this high-tech industry is extremely volatile. One company can come up and one company can disappear quite easily. And how are we going to sustain in this market? I think we believe we can sustain next 10, 20 years as a partner. So in respect of the time, I'm going to move up a little bit speedy. So with our vision and phased approach and solutions and devices so far, we have been working with the Lithuanian government from January with a signed MOU about designing the future education. In Korea, we have been a consultancy for the Ministry of Education from last year. We have a second phase 2 contract in February with the government, designing the future of education. So we have been acting as a consultancy for the Ministry of Education. And in May, in May, there has been a pretty big event in Korea inviting about 21 ministers of education globally in the name of APEC Education Ministerial Meeting. And we actually hosted a pretty big Samsung Education Summit, inviting a number of ministers into it. And at the end of the day, we are discussing with 4 governments like Brunei, Philippines, and Indonesia and Vietnam about designing the blueprint for the smart education. So we are collecting a lot of knowledge and experience working with these countries at the same time. And we are putting in place in 27 countries with our smart education equipments, so that every country has at least one leading smart education classroom, so that they can look and feel and also learn what is the direction to go for. And I'm highlighting Turkey as part of the country of smart education pilot. We have a number of countries in Africa, Middle East, Asia, South America, and America. And America is investing some other money to make this happen in a number of other countries too. So in Turkey, with the smart classroom in Istanbul, we are setting up a new smart classroom with the devices and accessory solutions and contents and training the teacher so that it can be available to the students from I think November this year. And again, I said Samsung's putting over $400 million US as part of our CSR. Wherever you go is Latin America and Europe and CIS, Asia, Middle East, and Africa. So we will continue finding a way to make an investment in many different formats, but our passion will be on education, and Samsung leading the smart education era. So, for example, from Africa, this is a pretty interesting container box called SPIS, Solar Powered Internet School. This is a container box with number of tables like this, and it is powered by the solar cells, so that even the students in a very far in the forest jungle can access to internet. They can get the same level of education. We are piloting this one with a number of organizations, and we are now working with UNESCO to make more SPIS available in a number of countries where internet cannot access. The no good school is available nearby. And also in ITO Tech High School, we are investing significant money at this moment to train up about 450 people, and Samsung has a plan to hire up to 150 people as part of our service leadership. So, at the end of the day, our vision in a different manner is how we can make the class and school as an area where children are excited to go every morning. So I'm going to show you some demo about this classroom we have as part of vision, and also which is working just now. You can see the children are running for the school because they are so excited about running.
That you're going
interesting enough, she's not a real teacher, she's an actress, but the students are real classmates. And this is taken in one of the international schools in Korea. This is taken in Korea. And it has taken 2 hours teaching the students about how to use the tablet, and they started taking this film. So it is a pretty simple stuff. So as a result, I just wanted to highlight that making a smart education is right thing to do, but there is a lot of challenges which you may like to know of, and I believe you know of the challenges and risks and potential issues. And as I said, teaching the teachers is one of the most important things, because they are the ones who will motivate the people, motivate the students to attend the class, who will be motivated to generate and create the contents, so that contents can be available to the other teachers. Korea has been teaching about 120 teachers last 4 months, and they will go back and teach other 4,000 teachers, and then these 4,000 teachers will teach other 100,000 teachers. So we have a train-the-trainer program to go for about 18 months. Then we'll be ready to deploy the smart education environment, because teachers matter, and they should have at least a certain level of technical capabilities to correct some malfunctions of a tablet, PC, whatever happens. Otherwise, the students will be raising one hand, stopping the entire class. And there is a potential breakage of the devices, malfunction. There should be an immediate reaction. Otherwise, the class will have a difficulty to continue. Having the right device is very important, but having the right ecosystem, making this smart school to be smarter is, I think, more important. And I believe Samsung is really ready to be a partner with Turkey. And we have been working with a number of countries already, a number of school districts and schools. And we have a passion, and we appreciate Turkey has a vision for education. I really hope that this project should be successful. As I said yesterday, there are so many people and countries looking at whether this project can be successful, how successful this project can be. So, lastly, I have a very small, simple slide about Samsung, Korea's passion about Turkish and our love on Turkey, so that we believe that we have a blood mixing relationship. That's what we feel, how we worked out so far. So, thank you very much.